Hello, everyone. Good day. Here's an intro to golf. First is arriving at the golf course, how to get set up to play. Second is the layout of golf holes, the tee box, fairway, and green. And then the approach shot to the green, followed by the art of putting, the short game, long shots, the pros and cons, the scorecard, and some homework to measure distances. There. So first of all, arriving at the golf course, you want to register at the pro shop so that you get all the right equipment, and then you set up your golf bag and trolley or golf cart. You arrive at the car park. Unfortunately, in Australia, there are no caddies. There's no bag drop. You bring your bag yourself to the pro shop and pay your fee, your green fee, and then you proceed to hole number one, where you meet your buddies and then you decide who gets grouped into the first four, the second four, the third group of four. Um, the golf professional normally runs the pro shop. He teaches golf and he also sells merchandise. He can also give you advice on how to adjust the clubs to your height and the weight of the clubs to your bodily strength. He also sells apparel. So the first thing is I recommend soft spikes rather than hard spikes because the hard spikes sometimes can tear up the carpets inside the clubhouse, even though they're much better on the golf course. But they once you step into the clubhouse, it ruins the carpet, and so the soft spikes do the job well anyway in the golf course as well as you can walk into the clubhouse with them. I recommend you drive to the clubhouse and then only then do you change to your golf shoes. In golf, you need to have your shoes need to have a good grip on the ground. So that's why there have to be spikes on the ground because there's a movement of your body, and you don't want to slip or fall down. So on the upper left, you see a fellow who is carrying his own golf bag on his shoulders, and then so some people do that, and others they have a golf trolley, which could either be manual pull or electronically operated. And then on the upper right, you see a golf cart. Also over here is a golf cart which can carry two bags and two people. There you are, the golf cart driving out to the fairway. Now, the layout of the golf course, there are holes which are par four, par three, par five, and then you start off on the front nine normally, and then the back nine brings you back to the clubhouse. But you can also start from the back nine if it's very crowded on the front nine. Here's the typical golf course, which is all in one piece of land. This is like all golf course all in one piece of land, whereas other golf courses, uh, the the contiguous piece of land has houses, and then the golf course runs around the houses. That's another way of doing it. But this is the most common and most conventional one, where all the golf holes are right beside each other. The advantage is that all the golf is done on a piece of land. The disadvantage is that your ball can fall in the wrong fairway very often. After you're done with hole number 9, you proceed to hole number 10 and all the way back to 18th. Now, for a par 3 hole, you normally want to land on the green in the first shot, and then you are allowed two putts and to get par. For a par 4, you normally have to land on the green in your by your second shot, and then you should be able to hold out in two putts. For a par 5, you should be on the green in 3 shots. That means you're on the green in regulation. And then you putt out in 2. That gives you a par 5. That's a good player already. So your front nine is hole 1 to 9, which is normally 36 strokes. And that's what you also call going outwards. Meanwhile, for hole number 10 to 18, that's also 36 strokes expected. And then by that time, you're coming into the clubhouse already. Here on the left is a par 3 where you have a tee box which is red, tee box which is white, a tee box which is blue, another one which is black for the good players. And then all of them have to uh, jump, launch their ball onto the green. Ideally, reach the green in one shot. You're on the green in regulation. And then, meanwhile, for a par 4, you need to land over here first, just short of the water, which is a hazard. And then from there, you jump over the water onto the green. So once you're in the green in 2 shots, you're on the green in regulation. And from there, you should be able to putt out in two more putts. Now, there are always or often golfers ahead of you. Take care not to hit them with your ball. Also, there are golfers behind you, and don't make them wait too long. Hit your ball as soon as you're ready, and then start walking forward. Get out of the way because they're about to hit. What are the tees? There's the black tee for professionals, blue tee for men, white for seniors, red for women, green for children. But sometimes it's just depending on the handicap of the person. Those with low handicap are black. Those with high handicap are red and green. Okay. So here's beginner's tee, high handicap tee, which used to be known as white. Then over here would be blue and black for the mid handicap and low handicap players. If this is the tee box, let's say that this is a blue tee over here, then your area for teeing off is like 2 club lengths behind and then forming a rectangle with the help of the tee markers there. And then, so if there's a tee marker here and then here also, then your tee box is this area over here, which is like 2 club lengths behind. And this entire box is your area for putting up your ball before you hit it. So um, the golfers come to the tee, and then the first fellow tees off, and the others are waiting out of range and well behind so that they don't get hit in case the ball goes, way to the right or way to the left. It might happen that your ball goes in several stages before reaching the green. So here's the ideal situation is that you hit the fairway in your first shot, and then your second shot flies up in the air and lands on the green. Of course, we cannot guarantee that that happens. You might hit the bunker, you might land in the forest before, and then land in the bunker before reaching the green. And let's say that you're on the far edge of the fairway and you're now looking at the green. Oh no, there's water in front of you. So you'll have to, this is actually just a practice green. Notice that there are 5 flags on it. But if this were the real green, then you'll have a difficult time hitting over uh, in order to land right there on the green. If you're coming from the left, that's how you would hit. If you're coming from the right, that's how you would hit. Okay. Now let's say, okay. Okay. Um, uh, okay. All right. So let's say that there are 3 golfers approaching the green. Number 1, 2, 3. Now 1, 2, and 3. 3 is farthest, so normally he hits first. And then 2 is a little closer, so he hits second. And then number 1 is closest to the green, so he hits last. Okay, but then sometimes there's also uh, ready golf. So whoever's ready to hit can hit first. The others are still walking to their ball or getting a club out of their bag. Now, what is an approach shot to the green? That's the time to use wedges to pitch the ball over a pond or a bunker and to use the finesse swing. For this reason, you want to measure the distance that the ball goes with a 9 o'clock swing on this particular club. So here's an example of three wedges: the gap wedge, the sand wedge, and the lob wedge. The other one is the pitching wedge, which is about 48 degrees. And then, and so you want to measure how far it goes on a full shot, on a 3/4 shot, and on a half shot. So this is like what I would call a full power 1 a.m. swing. 3/4 would be like 11 o'clock swing, and half shot would be a 9 o'clock swing, what I would interpret. So the take a sand wedge, go to a driving range, and hit the ball with an 8 o'clock swing, meaning your backswing is 8 o'clock, and then your forward swing is 8 o'clock there. And then, at least in my case, the ball runs 10 meters plus or minus one. You hit 10 balls with this easy swing, and then you measure the distance traveled by the ball. So here it is. Ideally, after you hit the ball with the 8 o'clock swing, it travels 10 meters and lands in the hole. If not, then it should be at least near the hole. That's why I measure the result of 10 balls hit. It looks like the average is 10 meters plus or minus one. Next, how far do I hit the ball with my sand wedge? If I use a 9 o'clock swing, will it go 14 meters plus or minus two? So here's what I call a 9 o'clock swing, because the the club is pointing to 9 o'clock on the clock. So what you do, hit 10 balls with this easy swing and then measure the mean distance. Take note of the variance, whether it's 1 or 2 meters apart. So hit with a sand wedge with a 9 o'clock swing, and then ideally the ball lands in the hole or is somewhere near the hole. In my case, the ball runs 14 meters plus or minus two. Now, next, how far do I hit the golf ball with my sand wedge with a 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 12 o'clock swing? Hit 10 balls with this easy swing and then measure the distance traveled plus the variance. And on a good day, with the 12 o'clock swing, I can send the ball 30 meters plus or minus 3 meters. All right. So that's the ideal result, is that you hit the ball with a 12 o'clock swing and then the ball lands in the hole or nearby. So what you want to do is measure on a driving range, how far do I hit a golf ball with my sand wedge, and later on with my pitching wedge, 9 iron, 8 iron, etc., with the 9 o'clock swing, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 12 o'clock swing. Then you measure the distance traveled on your notebook, and then you just check it every so often to see if it's still the same distance traveled. So that if you're in the real golf course and you have to make the ball travel 26 meters, then you know what to do. You pick up your sand wedge with an 11 o'clock swing. With a short distance pitch, you measure how far the balls are congregated. With a long distance pitch, then again, you measure how far the balls are to each other. Are they congregated? So what I recommend is you go to a backyard and then you put up a flag there, and then you practice with 10 balls on how far the ball goes with an 8 o'clock swing, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 12 o'clock. And these are the easy swings that you can easily replicate. They don't require much power. After a while, you'll be able to take good notes and then write down on your notebook how far does the ball travel. If I'm hitting, for example, I'm hitting an 8 iron here, and then these are the distances traveled by my 8 iron. And if I need to send the ball 38 meters, then I use the 10 o'clock stance and 10 o'clock swing using an 8 iron. If, however, I need to send the ball 62 meters, then maybe I will use instead a 7 iron with a 12 o'clock swing. At least if this is how far the ball travels in your case, then you know that I've done this several times in the past, 10 times with each club on the driving range. So now I know if I need to send the ball 62 meters, then I'm going to use the 7 iron with a 12 o'clock swing. There. We'll later on next year we'll practice with the 6 wood, the 5 wood, or the 4 or the 3 wood and the driver. So there you are. You're on the golf course, and then there's 2 people on the green, and then when they leave, it's your turn to hit. Um, let's say that you're in the fairway, then you can just hit the ball, bump and run to land on the green and keep on bouncing and rolling. Not much need for loft. However, if you're not on the fairway but behind the bunker, then you have to make the ball sail in the air and land softly near the flag itself. Um, you need to loft. You need the loft to fly it over a sand bunker. You don't want to fall into the sand bunker. Now, good. So now let's turn to the art of putting. And the main questions are: is this a straight putt, or is this putt breaking to the left, or is it breaking to the right? Okay. So the putting game is actually half of all the strokes in a golf game. Half of all the strokes in a scorecard. And this is putting the ball on a flat surface, 1 to 10 meters. In the short game, that's when you're outside the green trying to pitch inwards to the green, and that might be as short as 10 or as long as 100 meters away. Long shots would be those from 101 to long shots 101 to as far as you can hit it. Meaning when you're 500 meters, the meaning of this box is that when you're 500 meters away from the green, that's when you have to hit the long shots. The moment you're already 100 meters away from the green, that's when the short game comes in. The mental game is how to keep cool and calm despite hitting bad shots, which are inevitable. And then the course management is how to plan where to where to hit the ball, whether to the left or to the right side of the fairway, and whether to lay up before water or to try to hit over water. So it depends on your ability to hit consistently a certain distance. Now, the art of putting is to hit the ball with just the right strength, to make it run the right distance, and then calculate for the right amount of break. Meaning, if the green is tilted from a higher side, there's a side which is higher on the green, then you have to aim to that higher side and let the ball trickle down by gravity to the lower side. Um, I have a picture here of a putter, which with some measuring tape beside it, and just to show that some putters are 5 inches long, and you can use this as a guide to measuring a 5 inch putt, 5 inch backswing when you're on the green, when you're practicing. So what you want to do in putting is to hit the ball with just the right strength to make it run the right distance, and then to roll into the cup. Um, I recommend you experiment with a pendulum swing. A pendulum swing means that the ball is just moving like this. It's just gently moving like that. Pendulum swing. You're not using any force. You're just moving your shoulders left to right. If your backswing has 4 inches of backswing and then you contact the ball and then there's 4 inches of forward swing, measure how far the ball moves. Does it move 2 or 3 meters in your case? Okay, so do that, and then afterwards, measure what happens when you have 6 inches of backswing, 6 inches of backswing, and then 6 inches of forward swing. How far does the ball roll on the green? Does it roll forward 3 or 4 meters? So measure what's the average. And then try again with 8 inches of backswing up to 8 inches of forward swing. Do the same with 10 inches of backswing and 10 inches of forward swing, and see whether the ball moves forward 4 or 5 meters. So write it down in your notebook. And then you know how to putt to a certain distance. Now, the next thing is that if the green is tilted to the right, to one side or the other, to the right, then you have to hit the ball first to the left, and then gravity will take it down to the right. In this case, in the picture, your aiming point is the X, the blue X here. So that's how you hit the ball along the blue line towards the aim point X, which is blue, and then the ball will by itself roll down towards the hole and hopefully go in. So that's the break. Before you can do that, I repeat, you have to figure out how far does the ball go when my backswing is 4 inches and then my forward swing is 4 inches. Does it run for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 meters? So those are the distance measurements, and then you calculate for whether you have to hit to the left first or to the right first, to the right of the cup. So in this case, this fellow here is aiming for a break, a putt that breaks to the left. And here's the putt that breaks to the left and eventually falls into the cup. You call that breaking left. Now, if you're on a completely flat piece of the putting green, then you can just putt straight. Okay. Now, what happens if the green is tilted left or right? So of course you have to tilt to the high ground first, and then let the ball roll down by gravity. If the green is tilted to the right, then you have to hit to the right first, and then the ball would just roll back down by gravity. Okay. So here's an example. You're aiming for this point. You hit the ball this way, but gravity takes over and makes the ball break left towards the cup. Now, now, if you're aiming to the right, because the ground at the right is higher, then you're not aiming to the cup. Otherwise, the ball will roll this way. You're aiming to the right of the cup. But if there's only very slight tilt of the ground, then you will aim to the right edge of the cup. If there's more tilt, then you have to aim one ball right, one cup right, one grip right. So there's this terminology. If the ground is completely flat, then you can aim for the center of the cup. If the ground is tilted or the right side is higher, then you might have to aim, yeah, then you might have to aim to the right inside. Or you can aim for the right edge, or it can be one ball right, or two balls right, or one cup right. So here's now the short game where you're running. If you're 10 to 100 meters away from the green, this is what you need. And normally you'll be playing either chip shots or the bump and run or the pitch shot. The chip shot is jumps up a short distance and runs a long way. The bump and run is a shot which lands maybe on the fairway and keeps on bouncing all the way to the green. And then the pitch shot is high like a lob and then lands softly. Again, chipping is there's initial impetus, but then there's plenty of roll. And then for the pitch shot, there's plenty of flight and then a little roll. This backswing looks like it's a 10:30 or 11 o'clock shot. It looks like a pitch from the fairway to the green. This guy needs a high trajectory so that he can make the ball fly all the way to the flag and over the bunker. He does not want to land in the bunker, so it has to be a lob. Now you practice on the backyard and you want the ball to end up near the flag or in the hole so that the putt becomes easy to make. Looking at the golf shot from left to right, so if the guy hits very strong, then the ball flies very high and then lands. If the guy hits a easy shot, then it only flies up to here. Okay, so these are the ballistics of the golf shot. Now, if you're behind the player, standing over here behind the player, then if the ball moves to the right, it's either slicing or fading, slight fade. If it's moving to the left, it's either drawing if it's intentional, or he made a hook if it's unintentional. That's the shape of the shot. It's also known as shot shape. Now let's look at long shots, pros and cons. These are the lofts of the club. Low lofted clubs go this way, and high lofted clubs go up in the air like this one. Like a pitching wedge has more loft and less distance, and the driver has less loft and more distance. If you have the same swing speed, but then you're hitting a driver, then the driver will run this way, 8.5 degrees. This would be a fairway wood with 18 degrees. It flies higher and then lands over here. Some fairway woods have 14 degrees of loft and others have 18 degrees of loft. So what's happening here? This is what the accidental wrong fairway. You're hitting from here and then you land in the wrong fairway and then you land on the green. You can still do that. Or you're over here and then you land on the wrong fairway and then you can still make it to the green. That's what you call a recovery shot. The difficulty is when you're amid the trees and you have to hit through the trees and onto the green without hitting any of the trees or the branches. Each golf shot is practically a physics problem with some geometry involved. So let's say you're going to tee off from the tee box. Well, you can either hit a low shot to reach the fairway, or you can hit a high shot to reach the fairway, whichever you want. The high shot just requires more effort. The low shot, less effort. However, it might bump into some ditches or bushes or canals along the way. Let's say that you're hitting from the fairway and you use a driver for the first time. Well, your good intention is to hit down the fairway, but sometimes the ball can go way to the right, or sometimes it can accidentally go way to the left. So that's why I don't recommend that you start learning the long shots until next year, until a year from now. So what happens with long shots? They can either go way left or way right. So if you're way left, you hit some hazards. If you're way right, you land in the penalty area or the wrong fairway. You might land in the rough, you might land out of bounds. You might land in some bunkers, or you might be stymied by trees. So that's the problem of hitting way left or way right. So as a result, I recommend that you simply just do the short shots from from the tee box. Just hit 50 meters, 50 and 50, and you're always on the fairway, and then you can hop to the green, and that's a lot easier. Let's say that you're in the rough on the upper left. Well, you have to hit over a bunker, so you need maybe a 50-meter shot, which has to fly through the air and land on the green. If you're on the lower left, where the check mark is, then it's a lot easier. You can use less force to hit a 7-iron, and then the ball will just bump and run all the way to the green and stop near the flag. So that's what you call a bump and run from fairway to green. Now, what's the problem with the pitch shot? Well, you can land in the center of the green, or you might be way left or way right. Those are the two hazards of the pitch shot if you hit it the right way. Except that the angle of the club is either 2 degrees right or 2 degrees left. Meanwhile, if you're hitting the bump and run, well, the danger is that you might fall short over here, or you might be too long, extending beyond the green. So those are the typical dangers for the bump and run. Now, let's look at the scorecard. What's a good score and what's a bad score? What is stroke play versus table ford scoring? Here's an example of Danny with a handicap of 30 and Sandy with a handicap of 24. On the first hole, which is hole number 1, Sandy got a birdie, 3 shots, and Danny got 6. Over here, I got another birdie, 3 on. Sorry, it's a par. It's a par because here's the par, the 3. That's hole number 4. Pala. And then over here, this is a par, hole number 6. This is a par 5. I got a 5. And then for a par 3, I scored 3, so I got a par again on hole number 8. Then I got a double bogey on hole number 9. So my score was 44 on the outbound. And for Danny, it was 51 on the outbound. Okay. Now for the hole number 10, here's hole number 10 to 18. I did not do so well in hole number 10. Nope. And then very badly in hole number 11. But I got a par for hole number 12, par for hole number 13, another par here in hole number 15, then no more pars. So my score was 48 on the inward bound, and for Danny it was 54. For me, the score was 44 plus 48 equals 92. There. So for Danny, it was 105 minus 30 equals 75 net. For me, it was 92 raw score minus 24 handicap equals 68 net. So I played better that day. This is what typical scorecard would look like. It will tell you the number of meters. It will tell you hole number 1 to 18. And then it'll tell you what is a par 3 or par 4 or par 5. There. So a golf architect designs a golf course, and then it's either 4,500 meters long or 6,500 meters long. They let 100 pro golfers play on the new golf course. And then if the average score is 68 strokes per round, it must be a par 68 golf course. If the average score is 72 strokes per round, then it must be a par 72 golf course. That's how they discover it. Okay, I think we know this already. For a par 3, you're expected to land on the green in one shot. For a par 4, you're expected to land on the green in two shots if you're a good player already. And then for a par 5, you can land on the green in 3 shots or less if you're a good player. And it pays to know putting because putting is 36 out of 72 strokes. So there are 3 ways to get a par on a par 3. So number 1, you on the green in 1 and then you have 2 putts. Or you're on the green in 2 and then there's 1 putt. Or your first ball lands in the water and then the second one is a penalty, and then you tee off again in the designated area, and then you hit the ball in the hole. So that is the third shot for the hole. Now the